FBI investigators working on the Sean Diddy Combs case have dropped a bombshell, claiming that Michael Jackson wasn't just smeared by the mainstream media, he was murdered by the record industry. And now their top priority is building a case against Diddy as an accessory to Jackson's murder. For decades, A-list stars like Diddy and even Oprah Winfrey have been hiding in plain sight, shielded by the media that protected them from the consequences of their actions. But according to these investigators, the tide has finally turned. The media can no longer bury the truth. The avalanche of crimes about to be exposed, involving some of the world's biggest stars and politicians, will leave people questioning everything they thought they knew. Buckle up, because what's coming will change everything. Diddy is now facing life in prison, accused of sex trafficking and a laundry list of crimes that's set to end his career and his freedom. But he's not going to go down without a fight. Diddy's legal team is launching an offensive, claiming that the Department of Homeland Security leaked to CNN the video of him brutally assaulting Cassie.
He's making an adjustment. He had his family here today to support him. We really want to put an end to all of the clowning that we see on the internet. This is a serious proceeding with serious consequences.
A judge setting May 5th as the trial date for Sean Diddy Combs in the sex trafficking and racketeering case. Thursday, the music mogul was dressed in tan jail clothes as his children and mother attended his hearing. Anthony Rico is appealing Combs' bail denial after two judges ordered Diddy to stay behind bars while he awaits trial.
Nobody's okay with staying in jail for now.
Diddy's legal team filed court papers accusing the U.S. Department of Homeland Security of leaking the video of Combs brutally assaulting his ex-girlfriend Cassie at an LA hotel. Combs' attorneys are concerned it will deprive Diddy of a fair trial.
And here's the bombshell. By making this claim, Diddy has essentially admitted that he's a burnt federal asset. Much like Jeffrey Epstein, Diddy was used by the elite collecting blackmail material on some of the biggest names in entertainment, politics and sports. Whatever you think of Kanye, it looks like he was absolutely right on this one.
Puff Daddy, whoever, none of these niggas, all you fake hard niggas, fuck you. Hold on. Okay. All you fake hard niggas, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck because you can't shoot nobody anyway, and the reason why you got talks is because you did a deal, you fucking fed. You know what I'm saying? That's why you gotta come at me, because part of the deal for you to be a do all that and get out of jail is that you promise that you're gonna go pull my co-car.
The question we have to ask is, why did the elite decide to throw Diddy under the bus now? Here's where it gets even darker. Diddy's alleged sex trafficking ring isn't a new revelation. According to Rodney Lil Rod Jones's lawsuit, there's proof that Diddy has been running an Epstein-like blackmail operation for 30 years, targeting A-list stars. And get this, getting away with murder. One name keeps coming up in this story, Fahim Mohammed. According to lawsuit documents, Diddy's head of security was more than just muscle. Mohammed had connections within Los Angeles and the power to make problems and people disappear. For years, Fahid Mohammed worked side by side with Diddy, helping to cover up crimes, make bodies disappear, and ensuring that no one dared to question what was happening behind the scenes. Diddy made it clear to his staff if they were ever pulled over by the police in Miami or California, they were to call Mohammed immediately. As they say, it's a big club and you ain't in it. But Mohammed's history goes even deeper. Before he worked for Diddy, he was head of security for none other than Michael Jackson at just 21 years old. Think about that. How does a 21-year-old with zero experience land the job of protecting the most famous person on the planet? And here's the kicker. Mohammed was one of the very first people on the scene when Michael Jackson was found dead. Here he is during the trial of Conrad Murray, Jackson's personal physician.
Please state your name for the record. Spell your first and last names.
Fahim Mohammed, F-A-H-E-E-M, M-U-H-A-M-M-A-D.
Alarm bells should be ringing. Could this young unproven security guard, who later helped cover up Diddy's darkest crimes, have played a role in the death of the King of Pop? His connections to the record industry elite and law enforcement make this more likely than not. The case against Diddy exposes a terrifying reality. Record executives and media moguls knew exactly what Diddy was doing. They were at the same parties with underage boys and girls, drugging and exploiting them. The elite were not only aware of Diddy's crimes, they were part of them. Which brings us back to Michael Jackson. With everything we now know about Diddy, we have to revisit Jackson's story through a different lens. Starting in 1993, The media launched a relentless campaign against Jackson, accusing him of inappropriate behaviour with children. But here's something most people don't realise. The FBI investigated Michael Jackson for over a decade, and they found absolutely no evidence of criminal activity. None. The files are declassified and open to the public. They reveal that the FBI even raided Jackson's home, confiscating all of his electronics, computers, phones and everything, and they came up clean. In fact, agents who worked on the case reportedly became convinced that Michael was one of the most pure-hearted individuals they'd ever encountered. So, why did the media continue to paint him as a monster? Mainstream media has always been fake news operating on behalf of the elite. The people who own the record labels have deep ties to the mainstream media, and they control the narrative. If a young star plays ball, they can get them to the top of the game overnight, in a way that looks organic, but is actually totally manufactured and fake. They can also destroy a star who's refusing to play ball and threatening to expose their crimes. Make no mistake, Jackson was going after Sony, and it was possible that he didn't understand the lengths they would go for revenge.
So I'm leaving Sony a free agent, owning half of Sony. So I own half of Sony's publishing, and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it. But I just did good business, you know. So the way they get revenge is to try and destroy my album.
For most of his career, Jackson was protected by his mentor and head of security, Bill Bray. But when Bray retired, others stepped in, including Fahim Mohammed, who, as we've learned, has deep connections to the record labels, law enforcement, and Diddy's sex trafficking enterprise. And guess who was in charge of Jackson's security the day he died? You guessed it, Fahim Mohammed. Michael Jackson's death was ruled as an overdose of propofol, a drug injected into his system while he was already asleep. But let's be honest, anybody can inject a sleeping person with a lethal dose. It's a perfect crime, especially when you know that law enforcement aren't going to investigate because they are part of your club. We may never know the full truth, but one thing is clear. The web of power, blackmail, and control surrounding Diddy, Michael Jackson, and the entertainment industry runs deeper than we ever imagined. And people who try to rock the boat usually end up dead. Which brings us to the role of Oprah Winfrey and her job of smearing Michael Jackson and covering up Diddy's crimes for the elite she was serving as Hollywood's leading pimp. But first, an important word from our sponsor. The 90s was a more innocent time. The internet had not yet taken over daily life. Media news cycles were not 24/7. And the world had no idea Oprah Winfrey was Hollywood's most prolific pimp engaged in sex trafficking to the stars. In the 90s, Oprah was just another media mogul, on her way to becoming the first black billionaire, using her influence to normalise paedophilia on behalf of the elite and take part in the grand conspiracy to frame Michael Jackson. Oprah gave a massive platform to Michael Jackson's accusers, offering them airtime and credibility, even though these same individuals had previously testified under oath that Michael had never harmed them.
So this is what so many people don't understand. A big part of the confusion and shame for child victims is that the attention and the seduction from the predator, who is probably going to be somebody you know.
Right.
In order for it to work, it has to be somebody you know, somebody you admire, somebody you respect, or maybe even love. And it feels good. I mean, if you're 7 years old and somebody, which I was trying to say this to my friends who had children, you're 7 years old and someone is stroking your penis, it feels good.
Right.
Even though you don't have a name for what that is, it feels good. And when I first said this years ago, people were like, "You crazy," because everybody wants to believe it's like sexual assault and you're being thrown up against the wall and you're being raped. And I have said for years, if the abuser is any good, you won't even know it's happened. You will be in it and you won't even know it's happened. And if the abuser is any good, he or she is going to make you feel like you're a part of it.
Oprah also exploited Michael Jackson's MK Ultra altered personality, using psychological manipulation tactics to discredit him publicly and align his fractured persona with the media narrative that ultimately contributed to his downfall. During a famous interview in Oprah's own house, Michael said the word slave, and an alarm immediately went off and he became visibly frightened.
I go on with my work and get it done.
I have to ask you this. So many mothers in my audience have said to please ask you this question.
Yeah.
Why do you always grab your crotch?
Why do I grab my crotch?
Yeah, why? We think you got a thing with your crotch going on
I think
here.
it happens subliminally.
Mhm.
When I dance, if you're a dancer, you know, you're just interpreting the sounds and the accompaniment of the music. If there's a driving bass, you become the bass. If there's a cello, if there's a string, you become that. So you become the emotion of what that sound is. Okay? So if I'm doing a move and then I go bam and I grab myself, it's the music that compels me to do it. It's not saying I'm getting ready to grab down there and it's not in a great place. You don't think about it, it just happens. Sometimes I'll look back at the footage and I'll go, did I do that?
Yeah.
So I'm slave to the rhythm.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think the alarm's going off in the house. I don't know why. But
MK Ultra victims are controlled through the use of specific code words or phrases, which are implanted during the programming process. These words act as triggers, designed to activate or suppress certain behaviours, memories or identities, keeping the victim in line and preventing them from stepping outside the boundaries set by their handlers. The entire system was conspiring against Michael, seeking to control him, and when they couldn't, they decided to ultimately destroy him. This is despite there being no credible evidence against him and plenty of evidence to suggest that he was being framed by the elite.
I get back to the Sheraton Hotel at Universal over here. There's 4 FBI agents waiting for me in the hotel room. And my mom's there and she's like, tell them what happened. And I'm like, what do you mean tell them what happened? And I sit down with them and they all ask these super sexually exploiting, questions, back-sided questions. And I knew that at my age already. And I looked at all 4 of them and I said, are y'all crazy? I said, what you think I'm gonna do? Tell you that Michael did something bad so that we can sue him for money? That's what I told him. I was like, you're crazy. And I looked over at my mom and I was like, are you serious, Mom? I was like, what is going on here? Why are you letting this happen? And she goes, well, I think something happened, I think something. I'm like, really? That man did nothing but be hospitable, kind, loving, giving, everything you can think of.
Everything we've been told is a lie. Michael Jackson was innocent, and those responsible for taking him down and covering up the crime were rewarded with unimaginable fame, wealth and influence. Diddy and Oprah may have enjoyed decades of success, but they've now been chosen for exposure. Just like Jeffrey Epstein, who was discarded once he became more trouble than he was worth, the elite are now preparing to throw them under the bus. When Oprah and Diddy go down, they won't be going alone. Many of their closest associates are already serving time behind bars, and they'll soon have plenty of company in prison. Oprah will be joining John of God, her longtime spiritual advisor, who is spending the rest of his life behind bars after being found guilty of a sickening array of paedophilia, trafficking and rape charges. She'll also be joining Harvey Weinstein, her close friend, who is serving a total of 39 years in prison on multiple counts of rape and assault. Danny Masterson, Oprah's mentee, is also behind bars on rape charges. It's one hell of a club, and we've only scratched the surface of their depravity and crimes against children. There is a huge global child trafficking operation involving elite VIPs that's been systematically swept under the carpet by the mainstream media. Here at The People's Voice, we've been educating the masses about the real nature of the elites for years. We were the first news outlet to break the explosive news that John Podesta's emails contained paedophile code words, and that Marina Abramovich was involved in spirit cooking parties with senior Hillary Clinton campaign staff. Mainstream media have been covering up these crimes for decades. While the new revelations about the music industry elites have shocked the mainstream, those in the know are celebrating, because Hollywood is about to be exposed.
Let's go back to the Golden Globes for a second. Oprah is now being criticized for her speech that night by a very unlikely star.
Me too. 3 days after Oprah publicly supported victims of sexual assault in the wake of numerous allegations against Harvey Weinstein, singer Seal Instagrammed this meme, showing Winfrey kissing the disgraced mogul. It reads, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution."
Everybody in the entertainment industry knows the truth, and the downfall of the A-list elite is coming fast. Buckle up. Here at The People's Voice, we are determined to continue exposing the elite, but we need your help. subscribe to the channel on Rumble, and join the People's Voice Locals community to join our amazing team and gain access to exclusive and uncensored content. I hope to see you there.